How's it going, everybody? Review and preview back here with another NFL free agency video. I'm Noah Deibler, one of the hosts of Review and Preview. In case you guys aren't familiar with me, big Falcons fan, and the Falcons made a massive move in free agency on the first day, signing safety Jessie Bates to a 4-year, $64.02 million contract, which is worth $23 million in the first year and $36 million in the first 2 years. Now, I've got a couple thoughts on this one. First of all, Jessie Bates, think he's a good player. From all the Bengals fans I've talked to, they also think he's a good player. They just didn't want to give him the massive contract that clearly he wanted, and the Falcons did give to him. This is a guy that over his career, he's a good tackler. He has 479 career combined tackles in 5 years, 14 interceptions, 43 pass deflections. So, obviously I'm not a Bengals fan. I don't watch him. Haven't watched every single game he's played. But pretty consensus, pretty good player. He's a former second-team All-Pro back in 2020. Free safety as well, which the Falcons have needed better safety play for a long time. He was also voted first-team All-Pro in 2020 by Pro Football Focus. Take with that what you will. I know some people aren't big into PFF. But as for what, less about Jessie Bates as a player and more what this means for the Falcons defense was much improved in 2022, but it was still terrible. They were 10th worst in points against and 6th worst in yards allowed per game. Their safety situation in specifically the past few years has been very poor. Their secondary is not great. A.J. Terrell's a really solid corner number one, but past that, they don't really have much of anything. Their pass rush also stinks, so their secondary was already bad, and then they don't get any pass rush. It's not a surprise at all. The Falcons had one of the worst passing defenses in the entire league and have for a few years. So while it is true the defense did improve, it's not hard to improve from being dead last in the league for about 5 years in a row. So to get Jessie Bates in, I think that really improves our secondary. To get Onyemata on the defensive line, like I said, our defensive line has stunk for years. The Falcons have a lot of cap space. So while this is an expensive contract, and people will point that out, like I said, it is a front-loaded contract, so it's going to get better the last 2 years. Falcons have a ton of cap space. They came in, I think, to free agency with like $65 million in cap space. So they still have plenty left even after signing Jessie Bates, re-signing Chris Lindstrom, signing David Onyemata, like I said. They also traded a 7th for Jonnu Smith. So I think, Terry Fontenot heading into his 3rd year as GM, the past 2 years under Arthur Smith, they've gone 7-10 both years, which isn't a great record by any means, but considering how bad I think their rosters have been, you could argue I think it's been a bit of an overachievement. So first year in a very long time, they've actually been in the black for cap space, and they're using it, which, I love. I mean, you can argue, oh, they're overpaying, but that happens in free agency a lot. I mean, these guys aren't going to take cheap deals by any means. They're going to the market for the very reason they want to get the best contracts. So Jessie Bates, this is a guy that's a veteran. He's still relatively young. He just turned 26 on February 26th. And like I said, he just seems to do a bit of everything. Now, I'm not going to, pretend I've watched every single game on him. I'm going to have to do a bit, of film analysis on him to get a better read of him as a player. But from everything, I've heard from the Bengals fans I do know, which, granted doesn't represent the whole fan base by any means, they seem to like him. And, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth or beggars can't be choosers or anything. We badly needed a safety because our secondary's been trash for years. So to get, a top free agent safety in this class and Jessie Bates, I'm really happy with. The division, it's up for grabs with Tom Brady gone. The Saints, we'll see what they do with Derek Carr. Panthers are making some interesting moves, to say the least. So there might not be any good teams in this division, but it's a division that's very competitive and it's up for grabs. So I'm happy as a Falcons fan that they're going out there making big moves to try and improve the team. So we'll see what happens in 2023. But until then, until next time, if the Falcons make any more big moves, you'll hear from me. But until then, from myself, Noah Deibler, and Review and Preview, Jessie Bates, the Atlanta Falcons. Interesting move.